Good evening and welcome to Atlanta Live, WATC TV 57. We are so happy to have you here tonight. We're going to be your hosts this evening. We are Rick and Tanya Curren of TV Scaly Adventures. And I got to just warn you ahead of time, if you're tuning in and you're used to authors and speakers and singers, well, we got a little something different for you this evening. But it's going to be a great time. You're going to want to bring your children to the television because this is going to be really, really a great experience. And Mom and Dad, stick around too because we got a lot of great stuff for you too. But let me just tell you, WATC is very proud to have been celebrating this year 25 years of community-friendly, family-friendly entertainment. The kind of television that you could turn on and leave the room and you know your kids are safe. And we're very proud to be associated with them.
That's right. We were guests for many, many years on Atlanta Live, and then we hosted for about 2.5 years.
That's right.
So we have many, many memories here. So many memories. In fact, we were talking about this on the drive down. There's a hilarious memory that we have.
Oh, man.
So our first night of
It was hilarious for you.
It was hilarious for me. Well, kind of. It was actually kind of terrifying, actually. So when you are a guest on the show, it's very different than being a host.
Yeah,
So
really.
when you're a guest, you're very looking at your host, but you're not looking at the cameras.
Because you're nervous.
Right. So when you're a host, you're looking at the cameras. And so here we go. And they counted us down, and Rick took a big breath, and he sucked in the only bug from here to Texas.
That's right. That's right. Just
And he was supposed to do the whole opener. And I look at him, and he's choking, and I'm smiling, because that's what you do, because you're raised in the South, and that's what you do.
That's right.
No matter what's going on.
Yep.
So that was our first night of hosting live television. So hopefully a little smoother
yeah,
tonight.
but you know, I brought reptiles that eat insects tonight, so I'm prepared.
So you're safe, just in case.
I'm absolutely safe.
Yeah, so make sure to grab your family and friends, call your grandchildren over, because this is a special night. You're going to see some animals, God's creatures up close, and you're also going to see our special guest. It's our wonderful friend, Mrs. Jennifer Earnest from Sandhill Elementary School, who, along with her students, designed a 3D printed prosthetic tail for our Argentine black and white tegu named Jade. It has never been done before that we have heard of.
No.
It's cutting-edge technology that these students are doing that's going to improve the life of our animal, so you're definitely going to want to see this, so stay tuned for that.
You know, it's so much more than technology, too. It's humanity. It's really children showing empathy, which at such an early age is so very important. And God bless our teachers for being out there in the trenches every single day helping our kids to learn these lessons. We're so proud of them, and we give them a big hand.
So grateful.
That's right. That's right. So, you know, one of the most important things is when you first start a dream, I always tell kids, if you're not dreaming big enough to scare yourself, you're just not dreaming, am I right?
Dream bigger.
And so we came up with the concept for a TV show. Why not? Because I was an unemployed salesman and you were a school teacher, and who's better qualified? But what we did was we said, you know what, we want a great sound to our show.
Right.
But we didn't know where to turn. And then one night we were hosting, and I heard somebody doing scales in a way that just set my ears on fire.
Yeah.
And so I said, I've got to have these guys. Tanya got on the phone, and God bless Eddie Moles. He said, you know what? We're in. These guys are called Bone Prophet. They're so awesome that we filmed our official Scaly Adventures music video with them, and now you get a chance to check it out. You're going to love this. Man, I never get tired of that song. Those guys
awesome.
are incredible.
They're amazing.
They are absolutely very phenomenally talented. Check them out at boneprofit.com.
Yes.
They are awesome.
Yeah, you can also find that music video online and also airing on WATC. So now I've got a little friend. This is Willie. He is a leopard gecko. Isn't he beautiful? And he's so little. He's got these beautiful colored spots all over him. So he's from Pakistan. So we're taking you kind of around the world tonight.
Around the world.
As you're seeing different animals. And we're talking about different character traits and qualities. So his is beauty in unexpected places. So if you think about the desert and how hot it is down there, if you think about that, look at these beautiful colors. This pop of color in the middle of the desert. And actually, he's got this beautiful texture here, and right down here on his tail is like a velvet. You can almost see the difference in how it's super velvet. And the cool story about Willie is he actually lost his tail and it regenerated. So his tail got bitten off by a snake, so
Twice.
that part was sad. Twice, actually. That part was a little sad.
We got better cage locks now.
Yes, but the miraculous and wonderful and beautiful thing about how God made them is they regenerate. And it regenerated with different colors and patterns and actually even this different texture. And if you can zoom in, you can see even his ears are kind of like that goes all the way through.
You know, that's one of the funny things I always tell students, too, is I said, if you hold up Willie to a light, and I don't know if it'll do it here, but you can you can turn on a light, and you can see all the way through his head. The light will literally pass from one side to the other. You say that that's possible with my head, but nobody has proven that yet.
That's what I say, but it's definitely for Willie.
Exactly.
Now, what's cool about him is he can climb upside down on glass and even cling to it. So he's got these oversized scales. And also, can you have your light again? You want to show?
I do.
Oh, you're chirping a little bit. He's chirping a little bit because we're moving him around a lot. You can kind of see his belly scales are super thin.
That's right. You can almost do an x-ray without even having to have one because his belly skin is so transparent you can almost see through it. And one of the other cool things about this guy is this. Imagine if you went to the beach and you got a suntan, right? And you get burned and you start peeling. You wouldn't want to eat that, right? Well, here, I'm not being gross. The funny thing about this is that these guys, this is one of their defenses. Like a snake, he sheds every 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
But he's a little bit different because he kind of breaks his whole, it breaks down through the back, and he literally comes out of it, and it looks like a little Spider-Man costume inside the cage when it's done. But then what he will do is he actually eats that. And part of it's because he lives in the desert where, you know, food can be scarce, so it's protein rich. But the other reason is because he wants to leave no trace, because if he leaves the skin behind, then somebody says, one of his predators says, hey, I'll look around this area, I'll find the owner of this.
Right. Yeah, so he will eat that so that nothing can track him. So when you think about the amazingness of God's design for animals, he gives them that natural animal camouflage also, but he also gives them defenses. And this is one of his natural defenses, where he can eat his skin and then will leave nothing behind. So that is pretty amazing.
You know what final thing that's kind of cool about him is every time I look at Willie and I think about him coming from like Pakistan, Afghanistan, and that area, the Middle East, it always reminds me of Joseph's coat of many colors. Yeah. You know, because it's just so vibrant, and it's kind of like literally out in the rock in the desert. Here's this, boop, you know, kind of God showing off a little.
Right. So maybe your parents will let you get a little leopard gecko. They make great first little pets.
They do.
All right, so that's Willie the leopard gecko. Now we're going to bring you a bigger animal.
A little bigger. Yeah,
a little bigger. Now this is Snuggles coming out, and Snuggles is actually still a baby. She's only 9 feet long. And she's going to get to be at least double that. So we've got some studio guests here. Come on up, a studio audience guest. Some of our scaly friends that are going to come up and help hold Miss Snuggles.
All right, guys. So, you know, they say beauty comes in small packages. Well, this starts off as a small package, but I'm going to show you something real quick. This is how big this little girl is. If she'll let go of me. She's very clean.
She's very lovey.
There we go.
Yes.
We're going to stretch her right out.
Y'all want to help hold?
There we go. All right, Miss Ma'am. There you go. She's going to wiggle around a lot because this is what they do. But Snuggles is what I call an example of gentleness is learned. And here's the reason why. You're looking at the #1 longest snake species in the world. These guys get to over 28 feet in length. The world record is well over 26 feet in length. And they think that these guys can get up to 30 feet in length as well. Now, none of my volunteers need to worry, but this type of snake has actually been known to consume human beings. Don't worry, because Snuggles likes Chick-fil-A, not Kid-fil-A, so you guys are okay tonight. But truly, where they come from is Indonesia, and in those areas over there in the Southeast Asia. And so the folks over there are farmers, a lot of them, and they'll fall asleep in the fields at night, and these guys will predate on them. It's not that they have a taste for humans, it's just that what happens to be what's convenient.
And if you look right here, is she's doing something called anchoring, or she was.
Yep.
This is called anchoring, is when she was wrapping around Luke's wrist. So she's obviously not trying to hurt him, but she's holding on, because in the wild they like to hold on. Oh, Miss Snuggles is on the move.
That's exactly right. So like we said, Snuggles is basically just a baby. A couple of other cool things about him. These are true pythons, so if you get a chance to look at her face, what you'll notice is that she has these itty bitty holes right up in the front. I'm trying to angle it right. There we go. If you really look there, thank you, Miss Snuggles. If you look, you'll see these little holes in her face. Those are called labial pits. Those pits are designed to help her to be able to smell heat the way that we can smell cookies. She can smell heat, and she can track heat that way. Doesn't mean that this long tongue doesn't smell as well. It's just an added option that snakes like this come with.
Excellent. You guys did a wonderful job.
You guys are fantastic.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
See, look at that. Nobody got eaten.
Yes, thank you. Let's show them the iridescence, too.
Absolutely. One final thing that we'll show you about Miss Snuggles here that's really, really cool, since we're showing colorful animals. Hopefully the camera will be able to pick this up. She has an iridescence to her that is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if the camera can see that or not, but what it is this beautiful rainbow pattern. Now, she gets her name Reticulated Python. Here, let me see if I can get, there we go. You can kind of see it. She gets her name Reticulated Python from this beautiful pattern that she has here. But this rainbow pattern that's on her, if you were to feel her, she's very smooth. These guys are actually semi-aquatic snakes. They like to swim out in the water. They can be found 2 to 3 miles off the coast. The other cool thing about them, though, is that iridescence comes because every 6 weeks she sheds. She's very, very friendly.
She is very friendly.
She sheds. And so this is actually the oil underneath her skin. Actually, the oil underneath of her skin, getting her ready for her next shedding cycle. But the cool thing about this is, like I said, this is gentleness is learned. And just like, we teach children gentleness, Snuggles here is a voracious predator in the wild. Obviously, these will eat human beings.
Sure.
But when you work with something every single day and you love it, whether it's a dog or a 12-foot python, it's going to learn gentleness and it's going to learn love. And she actually has keeper recognition. She will actually come to me if I put her on the floor.
Yeah. That's so important as you're, making friends, to be kind to others, and also just to remember to be gentle with your pets. When you have this a big responsibility if your parents let you have a pet. And in fact, with Pierce, when he kept that first snake, he did such a good job. We let him get another and another, and that's how we ended up with 30 reptiles in my house. Okay. But we started with one, but it was his responsibility to take care of it. So always take care of your pets. And also remember, you're seeing snakes tonight here online and with TV. Just remember that if you see a snake in the woods, never pick it up. These are our pets. These are our friends. So always get an adult if you see a snake in the wild or in your yard.
If you see one this big, give me a call.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to put Miss Snuggles away.
We are going to put Miss Snuggles away.
And I'm going to show you Spike. So this is my beloved, beloved Spike over here. He is a green iguana. And yes, he has on a bow tie to be handsome. And yes, he has on shorts to look professional. And he's got his name on here, thanks to Scaly Grandma. Spike is monogrammed on his shorts. But he is a green iguana. And you can find them in Central and South America, and obviously all the way down in Florida. We lived in Miami for a year or so, and they were running wild down there. And we always tell students to touch between the bow tie and the shorts because reptiles actually don't love to be touched on the head. And interestingly, this is one of his main natural defenses, which will come into play when you're talking about Jade. Later on, you'll see Jade because when she lost part of her tail, she lost a big part of her natural defenses. But this tail can break bones and it can break glass. So he could stretch this out if he was scared right now. He could stretch it out and he could actually whack a bird of prey out of the sky. This can even break my bone if he hit it hard enough. So this is no joke. But obviously right now he is super relaxed and chill. And we're going to let the kids touch him at the end. But Spike is our wonderful story for anti-bullying. He's our anti-bullying message. And his story is this. He was given to us by a lady that called us, and she had too many animals, and she heard that we had a lot, and she said, I know that your son loves reptiles. I want to give you a couple. And a couple means 2 or 3, but we came home with 12. So we had 12, and we came home with 12. So my collection doubled overnight, and one of them was Spike. And when we went into the house, he was in a glass box that was so small he couldn't move around, and he was never picked picked up and handled. And so when we brought him home that night, he was so angry and aggressive that he tried to bite Pierce, and he tried to hit him with his tail. We actually had to throw a towel over him just to get him safely into the enclosure. And I said to Pierce, honey, I don't think that we can keep him because he's so aggressive. I'm truly afraid that he's going to hurt you. And Pierce was like, Mom, please, 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 I've always wanted an iguana. Please let me have one. So we worked with Spike for about 6 months, and that's a really long time. So just know this too, if you get an animal that you love and you brought into your house and it's not your ideal pet and it's not working, you may have to work with it for a really long time and show it a lot of love and compassion. It takes a while to break down those barriers with animals, just like it does with people. And so we gave Pierce, Pierce, Pierce too. We gave Spike that time, and we showed him a lot of love and compassion. And we would sit outside of his cage, and we would change our voice even, and we would say nice things to Spike. And we would say, Spike, we love you. Did we say we love you? Did we say we love you? Or are you going night-night? You're not gonna say yes? He went, yeah. He went from being a really aggressive iguana to being our green scaly baby that everybody gets to touch and see at schools. And kids love him and they love his story. And what they remember about Spike's story is this. You know, maybe they know somebody who's mean, because we all know bullies. We all know people who are aggressive. And a lot of times it's because something bad happened to them beyond their control in their environment that they could not control. And so as human beings, we don't bite and we don't have a tail to hit, but what we will do is we will put up a natural defense. We will say, it hurts to be hurt. I don't like that. That hurts. I'm not gonna let anyone hurt me again. And we project anger out into the world and to others. That's what's often happening with a bully. So the way that you change someone like that is with kindness and compassion. And you say, do you wanna be my friend? Do you wanna come to my birthday party? Whatever is cool to you in your world, this is how we connect with others. And this is how we change the world. And you have to remember this too. We have to show kindness and compassion and forgiveness to others even when they don't deserve it, which is very, very hard. That's even hard as an adult. It's hard for me as an adult to forgive someone who has been unkind or very, very rude to me. But I choose to do it because God asked me to do it, but I do it for myself. I do that because I don't want to hold that bitterness in my heart. So don't hold that bitterness in your heart if someone wrongs you. Show them forgiveness and kindness and compassion, and this is how you change the world. So that's Spike's story, and I hope you remember that. And in addition to Spike's story, we just did something very neat. It was just actually last Sunday. We filmed with our friends Brandon and Wyatt Morris. They came to our house to film this spot. It's called Sorry Doesn't Fix It, and it's about the power of our words, and it's our anti-bullying message we're proud to show on TV and in schools, so check it out. Boys, I want you to say something mean to this piece of paper.
Okay. You're ugly. You're not smart. You smell. Your clothes are weird. No one likes you. No one wants you on their team.
Okay. Now I want you to say you're sorry to this paper.
Sorry.
Did it fix it?
No.
This is why we don't bully.
Okay.
So just remember that. We have to remember the power of our words. We have the power of life with our words to others. So always remember to use your words wisely. You do need to say sorry if you hurt someone's feelings. That's very important. But remember that just saying sorry will not fix that damage. So that's why it's important to always speak kindly to others. So thank you, Brandon and Wyatt, for filming that message with us. So now we've got a special friend here. Her name is Ginger.
This is Ginger.
All right, come on up, friends.
Hey guys, how are you all doing tonight?
All right, more of our friends on set here. These are all students from Sand Hill Elementary School. Proud to have them with
Gentlemen,
us.
this is Miss Ginger. Now, Miss Ginger is an amazing animal here because she is a Burmese python. I like to say she's a baby. She's about 6, maybe 6.5 years old. She's just hit 7 feet. And part of that is we don't power feed at our house. We generally just feed on a regular schedule. You'll see some of these that are gargantuan, like 2 or 3 years old, and it's because people power feed them. But this is the #3 longest snake species in the world. Now, what's beautiful about Ginger is she just shed a few days ago. It's like all of our snakes just said, oh, we're on TV, so we'll clean up real good.
Yeah, they look good.
But she looks like somebody armor-alled her, but actually this is just the way she looks. It's a beautiful, smooth texture. Guys, does it feel smooth? Not rough, like rattlesnakes feel kind of rough. She feels kind of smooth and textury. Now, the interesting thing about Miss Ginger here is that a couple of things make her a little bit different. Number one, Third largest snake species in the world. These guys are invasive species. So if you're reading these articles about animals down in the Everglades, this is in fact exactly one of those that are being found. When these guys get to be 18 to 20 feet in length, they are an apex predator. There's nothing else out there that can take these guys down. So we actually have to go and find these animals out in the Everglades and try to eradicate them. But good luck, because they're prolific breeders. But in spite of that, Miss Ginger here is an excellent ambassador of what they can be. You see, we use her to talk about overcoming fear. A lot of young people, this is the first animal they ever get to hold that's a snake. And the great thing about her is they call them the gentle giant. She's truly very, very, very gentle. She's actually one of 2 snakes that we have that are specially trained to work with special needs children, children with autism. She's been into Shriners Hospital and some of the other children's hospitals to work with the children as well. So she's extremely gentle. Don't you think, guys? Awesome, awesome.
Good job, good job,
So this is Miss Ginger, the Burmese python.
There we go.
There we are.
Excellent. So next we're going to bring out 2 of our friends, Louie and Buddy. And what's interesting is these are the same species. They're just different colors of boa constrictors. So we always have a good message about that as well. So we've got some friends here going to come help me hold Buddy, the boa. Come on up. You're welcome. You can stand right here. Face everybody. Stand right here. Good job, good job. Good job. And I think I was going to put you on the end. Can you come on the end down here? All right, fabulous. So this is Buddy, the boa. All right, put your hands out, friends.
Plenty of snake for everyone.
There you go. Yes, plenty to share.
All right.
It's so heavy. What do you think? Is it cool? Yeah. All right, so this is Buddy the boa constrictor. He actually looks like he's got bow ties.
He feels wiggly right here.
All right.
He feels wiggly? Yes.
So you guys are holding Buddy, and Buddy is a male boa constrictor, and I'm actually holding Louie, who's Pierce, our son's personal snake, and Louie is a Peruvian red-tailed boa constrictor. But to be honest with you, they're basically the same snake. In fact, these are considered the exact same species. Now, you're looking at these snakes and you're going, wait a minute, how come these are 2 different color snakes if they're the same species? Well, both of these guys, being red-tailed boa constrictors, share the same markings if you really look at them. Like, for example, on Buddy, you'll see these beautiful orange saddle marks. So what Buddy is he's called a sunglow morph. And what Louie here is, he is just a standard issue Peruvian red-tailed boa constrictor. So he has the saddle marks that are in the blacks and the browns and the tans. Now, let's get a close look at Buddy's eyes right here. And one of the things you're going to see that's amazing is if you can really zoom in on his face, you'll see he has beautiful red eyes and he has a pink tongue. Whereas his brother and cage mate, Louie right here, has a black tongue. There you go. And he has regular colored eyes. And part of the reason that Buddy has those red eyes is not because we let him stay up watching Cartoon Network and drinking Red Bulls, but in fact it's because when you strip out the blacks and the browns and the tans to make a morph like this, those red eyes are because there's no pigmentation in the eyes whatsoever. So what you're actually seeing is the blood vessels in his eyes. Are we okay down there?
Yes. What do you think of Buddy? He's so heavy. What does he feel like to you guys?
He's like scaly.
He's scaly?
And I like his parts that feel.
He's scaly right here.
Yes, he
Yeah,
is.
he is. And he actually is kind of heavy. Buddy is really quite strong. You guys did a wonderful job. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sixth
Thank you,
largest
friends.
snake species in the world. But the final thing I'm going to point out is this. You know, when we get in front of young people, one of the things that's amazing is these guys are actually cage mates. In fact, they're inseparable. You'll see, I have photos of them literally with their heads right on top of each other. And if you take in one of them out of the cage, the other one gets pretty anxious about it not being there anymore. And what we tell children is this. These are both the same species of snake. They're both boa constrictors. And when we talk to students, one of the things we tell them is, believe it or not, you're the same species as the person sitting next to you and the person sitting next to you.
Yes.
So check this out. The amazing thing is that we may be made of different colors, we may be made of different backgrounds, beliefs, languages, different worlds apart. But one thing is still true, that is red blood in our veins and a heart that beats. We're all the same species. And so if the animals here can overlook those minor, insignificant details, then why can't we?
That's right. It's so important to always look at the things that you have in common. We would not have a TV show if we looked for people that were exactly like us. If we said they have to believe the exact same way, look the same way, act the same way, raise their children the same way, I don't even know if we would have an 18th of an episode.
No.
We filmed with...
Your world would be very small.
It would be very small. And God calls us to be kind to everyone. And so when you're looking for friends, look for the things that you have in common. And also going back to the opening segment when Rick was talking about Bone Prophet, that partnership has been beautiful. It's been amazing. And that came out of the studio just when we heard their music. And when we called him and said, we're starting this TV show, but we don't have music, he instantly said, I'm in. So I want you to remember this. When you're going through life, and you'll probably get a lot of no's, that is okay. Do not get discouraged by the no's. The closed doors and the no's lead you to the yeses. They lead you to the right ones. I can't tell you how many times we've been rejected. I mean...
More times than we've been accepted, it
right.
seems like sometimes.
Yeah, that is actually true. We've had more rejections than acceptances, but that's okay, because when something closes, we just pray about it and we say, okay, God, we know you're going to lead that to us to another thing. So that's been the essence of our ministry. Also, there has been a lot of partnerships, because as we've gone through, we had no connections. We had no money. In fact, when Rick lost his job, we went from $200,000 a year down to $20,000 a year. And so that was very, very, very difficult. Also, I don't know if you knew this about our story, but in 2004, I was in a coma, and I was actually given 2 hours to live. So our life literally went to the left. All of our plans, everything that we thought God was going to do in our life, it changed, and it was incredibly difficult. And it was incredibly painful, because I felt like, God dropped me and he had forgotten me, and he didn't. He did not. He used those broken places actually to launch us into ministry.
Yeah.
It took a couple of years, but God guided us and sustained us through it all. So I just want to encourage you tonight, if you're watching and you're going through a broken place, or where your life has gone to the left, do not give up. Yeah. Do not give up on yourself and your life and God. God has not forgotten you. He has not dropped you. He loves you. He loves you more than you know, and he will sustain you, and he will take those broken places and he will make them bloom and flower and have amazing, amazing new pathways, I promise you.
It's interesting, Tanya, because one of the other things I'd say, too, is it doesn't always necessarily turn out the way you wanted or the way you thought it would. Like I lost my job, $200,000 a year job. We said, okay, we're going to go into ministry. So we went into family, ministry, or at least that's what we thought we were doing. We wrote 3 books, released 11 CDs, appeared on Atlanta Live dozens of times.
Oh, for years.
And yet I'm standing up here on stage with a boa constrictor. And the funny thing is, for a long time, when I was struggling to get Boundless Limits off the ground, I didn't, and I was like, God, why aren't doors opening? Why aren't doors opening?
Right.
And suddenly, it was a learning experience that these animals are able to reach people in a way that I didn't know could. So it could be that you're facing something out there in your life right now that you're saying, I don't see how this is happening, or this just isn't getting off the ground. Yeah. Well, 11 years later, I can honestly tell you, I would have never dreamed the day I lost my job and jumped into ministry that I would be standing on stage holding a boa constrictor and using that to reach people. Mm-hmm. So never give up on the way God's going to be creative.
That's right. And if you have children, we just cannot encourage you enough to jump into their passions with them. Pierce was 2 yesterday, and he will turn 21 years old in October, if you can believe that. So this time has gone by like this. But when Rick found a snake in the yard when he was 8 years old, it was like a light bulb went off. Literally, I turned to Rick and said, wow, we better pay attention to this child, because he was born to work with animals. And so we jumped into his passion with it. Now, clearly, we jumped way in.
We jumped a little deep.
Okay, so we recognize this is not normal, and this is not for everyone. But when we jumped in, God allowed our path to be changed, and we created that YouTube channel as an extension of his homeschooling. And then actually, Michael Vallone's scaly brother here at WATC, he was the first one that started airing those YouTube spots here as non-commercial filler spots on WATC. So he saw value in that. And so it was so beautiful, because we were just doing that as an extension of Pierce's homeschooling and to make memories with him. them.
That's correct.
And to have that on film, and then God had other plans. So you never know what God is going to do when you jump into your child's life with them. So pay attention. If they're into dance, basketball, sports, whatever it is, pay attention. There's a reason. And it is your job. You are the gift to the earth to your child. It is your job to help channel their life, to help open up doors of opportunity for them. And it is a gift, and it goes by so fast, because I can't believe that Pierce will be leaving very soon. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting because people will ask me, how can you hold a snake like this? I mean, you know, he's a wild animal and you don't get bit.
Right.
And I always tell students it's very simple. We work with them constantly. Louis gets held every day, Buddy gets held every day. And it takes about an hour, but we get every animal out and do something to them. Even if it's just physically touch them for a second because we're in a hurry, everyone gets touched every day. And, you know, that's the way it is in life. The more if you want a great relationship with your kid, make the time. If you don't like what they're into, learn to like what they're into, or introduce them into things that you like that maybe you guys can build a bond with. And the other thing I told a church group the other night is there's one other person that would really love to know a little bit more about you and spend time with you, and that's God. Be sure to keep a good, strong prayer life and always be telling God what it is that your dreams are, because he tells you that he's going to give you the dreams and desires of your heart.
That's right. So now I'm going to bring out...
We have an amazing new guest.
Yes, one of the stars of the show. We have our next special human guest who's the star of the show, but this is our scaly star of the show. This is Jade. She's an Argentine black and white tegu, and she is an incredible, incredible species. She's actually like a big scaly puppy, and you can see her zoom in her little tongue. Look at that. Look at her tongue sticking out. She's got this long, velvety, forked tongue, and they smell with their tongue. So what she's doing is she's smelling the air and gathering in all the scents. Now, Spike, who you saw before, is arboreal, but Jade is terrestrial, so she's an incredible digger. So she's got these long claws. Well, they're not super long, but honey, they are powerful. She can dig and dig and dig, and actually she's an excellent swimmer. I was giving her a bath even this morning and texted our friend Mrs. Earnest and said she was holding her breath underwater. It was over 5 minutes. So it's amazing how long in fact, I even touched her. I'm like, Jade, you okay? You okay? But Rick's gonna tell you a little bit about her story and why she's got this pink sock on her tail.
Right. So guys, here's an amazing thing. Jade Argentine tegu, one of the interesting things about them is that here in the Atlanta area, these have actually become an invasive species. You're not finding them in every backyard, but indeed you are starting to hear reports of them showing up in areas of Florida, Georgia, in South Carolina, where we're from. We just had to have her microchipped, and there's a significant fine come to September if we actually were to try to buy another one or bring her in with us. So these guys come from South America, but clearly they're a hardy species, and part of that is because they have the ability to winter over in areas that normal animals like Ginger would not. Ginger, the Burmese python, South Florida, that's it. You get her much north of that and she's going to freeze to death. Not so much so with these guys because they're terrestrial. One of her favorite things to do is get underground and hide and do her thing underground. And so up here she becomes an invasive species for gopher tortoises and other animals, because if she finds a burrow, she's going to hang out in it. Now, another cool thing is these guys are omnivores, so they will eat anything. Now, guys, if you think cleaning up after the family dog is bad, try cleaning up after something that eats dead rats and hard-boiled eggs. Yeah. It's not pleasant. That's all I got to say. Silly. But really cool. Now, a lot of people say, what is with this tail? I mean, why does she have this on her tail right here? And it's really interesting. So Jade, I like to say, rocks the sock, but we have had her for about 2 years now. And when she came to us, shortly after we had her, we noticed that she had a very small little thing. It almost looked like a skinned knee, about
wouldn't heal.
distal, just down here.
Yeah.
Okay, and it wouldn't heal. And we put SSD ointment on it. We contacted friends, and they all said, this is what we think it is, that's what we think it is. Went to a couple of different vets, and finally our vet up in Asheville, Dr. Bolt, did biopsy on her and said, you know, guys, I think she has cancer in her tail. And he said, furthermore, he said, really, the only way to survive that is we're going to have to amputate that tail. And he goes, I'm hoping that it's not gotten all the way down to the bone, but the only way to clearly do this is take the tail off. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that she's going to make it. And he also cautioned us at the same time. He said, listen, sometimes when you dock a tail on an animal, it may be that they don't survive. And that's because it's more about the will to live than it is about anything else. We filmed with animals that have lost arms, that have lost legs, that have lost tails, and sometimes they don't survive because they just don't thrive. And so the beautiful thing about Jade is that she's a great example of you can lose something and still move on. You see, because that primary weapon system for her is this tail. If I get up close enough to get to her head, then what happens is I can harm her. She may be able to bite me, but at the same time I can harm her. But that tail, you can even see her lifting it up off the ground right now. She's a little uncomfortable with me being so close. She would turn that rear end around, and then she would be able to whip me with that tail if she really thought that I was a threat. So losing this tail for her is like losing a part of her identity.
But she is resilient.
That's right.
This is what's neat. We use this story as a story of resiliency to students in schools because Jade is resilient. We have students say, I am resilient. And resilient is a big word for means I am strong. It means that you are stronger than anything you face. It means that bad things in life do not define you. And so that brings us to our story that will enter our next guest here in just a few minutes. We were at Sandhill Elementary School in Carrollton, Georgia back in April. And we were talking to the students about Jade and showing them her story about resiliency, and the students were just so moved by her story, and they saddened. They were affected by the fact that she lost her tail, so they wanted to do something for her. So you'll see in just a few minutes something that the school has done for Jade that will improve her life. That is just really fascinating.
That's right.
It's completely fascinating.
But you know, the great thing about Jade is that she does remind us of a couple of things. When we get in front of students, one of the things we say is, listen, you know, there's a way to get your bounce back in life, too. If you lose your tail, so to speak, there's a few things that we tell students. And one of the first things that we tell students is this. I tell them that one time when I was in Africa, there was a guide that was with us, and he said, look, you see on the mountain right there, he said, you see a lion. He said, down here you see a whole herd of gazelles. And I said, yeah. He says, do you know, I can tell you, that lion, I can tell which one of those gazelles he's going to eat. And I said, how are you going to tell me that? And he says, watch. Sure enough, he said, that one, and that lion circled around and got that gazelle. And I said, you've got to tell me how you knew that. And he said, it's very simple. The lion always attacks the one that's alone. And he said, they don't want to fight a herd. Even though the gazelles really can't hurt a lion, they don't want that. They want the one that's alone, that's little fight. So what I always tell students is this: don't be that gazelle, because the lion in your life is going to be stress and depression and people telling you you can't do things. When something comes at you that you feel overwhelmed about, the beautiful thing is that God has put in your life counselors, parents, school teachers, school administrators, school resource officers, more people than you could even imagine to help you to overcome something.
Yes.
So always, always, always remember to speak to folks and tell them a little bit about what you're going through. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is that you always want to keep your faith, okay? One of the things I ask students is, what do you want to be? And a student yesterday, he said, I want to be a policeman.
He did, yeah.
And I looked at the crowd and I said, you know the beautiful thing about that? He knows his purpose right off the bat. You see, when you know what your purpose is, then everything else falls off to the side. Because I asked the young man, I said, well, do police officers do drugs? He said, no. I said, do police officers steal? He said, no. I said, what do police officers do? He said, they serve the community.
Right.
And I said, that's exactly right. So I said, so when you're out in the world, are you going to do drugs? He says, no. Are you going to steal? No. So once you see your purpose in life, then you have the courage to follow it no matter what anybody else is going to tell you.
That's right.
And so that's the most important thing about learning your purpose and overcoming those fears.
That's right. It's very important to stay laser focused on your purpose. And in fact, when we filmed actually with horses, do you remember they had the blinders on?
They did.
And so they would put blinders, which are these little things on each side of the horse's eyes, and it's so that the horse would not get distracted and look to the right or to the left. And so we actually even talked to Pierce about that. We would say, you need to put your blinders on. Yeah. You need to stay focused, laser focused on your calling, what God created you to do, what you want to do in your life, and not get distracted by the other things. You know, that's very important.
That's right. Because a lot of times the big stuff that will pop up is nothing. It's really absolutely nothing. It's not going to deter you from anything in this world.
Another thing that's important too is always to overcome your fears. We're about to show you a clip here in a minute that's important. Just in life is too short to let fear hold you back. You can conquer your fears in safe environments. That's what we're actually really, really good at helping kids do at schools.
And that's something I really kind of helped you overcome just a little bit. You know, Tanya does an outstanding job of explaining fear. And one of the things at Scaly Adventures we truly had to do is we truly had to overcome. So many people said, well, what are you going to do for income? What are you going to do for insurance? What are you you going to do to, for food and things like that? And we were like, we don't know, but we have faith. But, a lot of times fear is the only thing that's going to really hold you back in life. But Tanya does a great job of explaining it in this next clip that you're going to see here. And we are truly people who put our money where our mouth is. We've jumped out of airplanes. We swam with manatees.
I held a spider.
She held a spider, yeah. In fact, you're going to get a chance to see that.
I almost had a heart attack, but I held a spider.
But I just encourage people, and this happens every single time that we do a program. We have people that will come in from the back and they'll say, today is the day I want to crush this fear. I can't encourage you enough. Crush fear, because fear is truly the only thing that's going to hold you back. If you're afraid to hold a snake, ask somebody to hold a snake. If you're afraid to do something like public speaking, get out there and do public speaking.
Do it even more.
Here's the great thing. In a real learning environment, people will not mock you if you're not good at first. Nobody's good at first. Whether it's playing guitar, there are rock stars that started at 12 years old and were terrible. Right. And now they make $1 million livings, playing guitar. But it's practice, 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 and teaching yourself to overcome anything. Because the amazing thing is, when you can do something like hold a snake or a reptile, well, the next scary thing that comes along seems a little bit
It really
easier.
does. Overcoming fear translates. So this is why we work with students so much, especially ones that are afraid. If they can conquer that fear and say, I held a snake, even if it's for a second, or even touch one just for 1 second, that counts. That will translate to a test. Then they'll have a test. They'll say, oh, I can take this test. I can make a good grade. I've held a snake. Overcoming fear translates. So when I went skydiving, and again, I thought I was going to have a heart attack and die, and I lived.
I think you said vomit and pass out.
Vomit and pass out and then have a heart, a lot of things. And that didn't happen. I'm like, okay, I did it. And now I feel stronger, and that does translate. So we want you to check out this next video about overcoming fear, and we want you to do that in your life.
That's right.
We know that for some people, the sight of this brings a lot of fear. In fact, when we travel to schools, a lot of times students will say, oh, I'm afraid of snakes. And we say, do you want to try to touch? And even if it's just one finger, they'll put one finger on. Sometimes it's shaking and they'll touch, and they'll be so proud of themselves because they tried something new in a safe environment. So I want to talk to you about fear for a minute. Guys, having fear is a normal reaction and a normal emotion. You shouldn't be afraid to drive 150 miles an hour and through the neighborhood. You should be afraid to put your hand on a hot stove top, right? So some fear is good to have because it keeps you safe. But there's another part of fear that's not good to have, and you have to conquer it and overcome it. And that's fear of trying something new, or if you're afraid of something that will not hurt you. So it's important in life to stretch your boundaries and try new things. I've done this. You're about to see a video of me holding a spider. I do not like spiders. They are not my favorite, to say the least. I was terrified to hold a spider, but I wanted to do it to show it for Scaly Adventures, but also to conquer a fear in myself so that I could prove to myself that I could do it. Another thing that we did in Scaly Adventures was we went skydiving, and I was so afraid. My knees were shaking, my hands were shaking. I literally thought I was going to pass out. But I knew we were with professionals, experts, and I knew we were going to be safe, and it was important for me to stretch my boundaries and say, I can do it. So I just want to remind you, in life is too short for you to live in fear. You need to step out of your comfort zones and try new things in safe environments with people that you trust and other experts who are knowledgeable, and try new things. And don't say, oh, I'm so afraid to do that. If you feel that way, that's okay, but then try to conquer that. You'll be so, so proud of yourself, I promise, just like I was when I held the spider that you're about to see. I did it. Okay, can we see my sparkly necklace? That's very important. I brought it it's $6. I got it just for this occasion. Okay.
Family. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Take 1, Tanya's panic attack.
Yeah, well, this is take one, only one. Okay.
No.
And where's its eyes?
There.
One eyeball?
No. 6.
Okay. 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 Wait a minute. Wait. Okay. Okay.
I think I might have severe bruising on my bicep right now.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Forget about how hard
Okay.
it bites.
Oh, wait. Okay. I would rather squeeze you. I'd rather squeeze you than the spider. Okay. I don't want to. Okay.
I'd rather you didn't squeeze either.
I'm sorry.
Just hold
Thank
your
you for
hand.
being here. Okay.
Just don't throw it.
You're fine.
Okay.
Clean?
Okay. I did it. Okay. Okay.
Now, how am I going to get still shots?
Okay, quick, squid.
Okay.
Memorable moment
So
right
literally,
there.
we put our money where our mouth is.
That's right.
All right, we are super excited for this segment. This is our wonderful friend, Jennifer Earnest from Sandhill Elementary School. And Jennifer, we are thrilled to have you with us.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so
Big
much.
hand to our teachers.
Yes, yes,
Big
yes.
hand to our teachers.
She is a wonderful friend, but also an amazing teacher, and one that really paid attention to what her students were seeing and feeling. So, Jennifer, thank you for bringing us to your school.
Thank you for coming.
We have a blast with you guys every time we
We
come.
love it. Absolutely. Our students, the highlight of the year.
Oh, awesome. And so when we were there with you, we were talking about Jade. They saw her pink sock.
Yes.
And talk to me about what they were feeling.
So Jade's story really resonated with a lot of our students. Cancer is something that hits home with a lot of people.
Right.
Everybody knows somebody who has had it and suffered from it. And so when we got back into the classroom, my kindergartners and I were talking, and they were just so touched. And one of them looked at me and they said, "Miss Earnest, Scaly Dad said that Jade could die without her tail, and it's so important to her, and you know how she defends herself. What is she gonna do?"
Yeah.
And so we talked a little bit about it and how she's actually gonna be a lot better off than being in the wild because she has y'all. And
Right.
they said, "Well, Miss Earnest, why can't we do for Jade what they did for Winter the dolphin?" And I thought, why not?
Right.
We have the 3D printers and we have the technology, and it's something that the kids are fully capable of doing.
Yes.
So I took it to my 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and they were like, yeah. And so
Yeah.
we spent several weeks sketching and designing and coming up with researching Jade's tail and how it moves and the different looks. And they had to look up the tegus and see the color patterns. And
Yes.
we talked about the overall length to get how much tail she was going to need, and what shapes would be the best. And so, we started with kindergarten talking about the shape. And with kindergarten, one of the things they work on is shapes, 2D versus 3D.
Okay.
And so, first thing is everybody said, oh, a triangle. Well, that's a 2D shape. Let's think about 3D. And so then we get to the cone. And so then we take that into my 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and we start looking at the shapes and all. And we bring out our bearded dragon in the classroom.
Yes.
And we look at her tail, and we saw that, the cone is very sharp on the end, and that's not really conducive to a household baby.
Right.
And so we looked at Tinkercad, which is the program we use to design.
Right. Awesome.
And we found a parabola.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a cone shape, but it was rounded, and that was the basis for our shape that they used. And so we talked about how it had to move with her. It can't just be
Yes.
a solid shape. And so we talked about articulating it and making it design. And the boys wanted to make sure she was able to defend herself.
Sure.
So a lot of the designs had spikes, and they
I'd like to
channeled
see some of those prototypes.
they
Gloves
channeled the
and
inner dinosaur.
Yes,
And, so the girls, obviously, it was pink and bows and ribbons. And so we narrowed it down, and we got several prototypes, and we built in Tinkercad. And we talked about the different things for Jade. How are we going to make this comfortable? So the first thing we thought of was, she has her sock, but it needs to go further up.
Yes.
So we came up with a compression sleeve that could go over her tail that she still had, and
Yes.
securing that on. And that way it would pad her tail, and it would keep the soft, feel to her without having anything hard that would hurt her. And then we got down into the nitty gritty,
Yes.
and we decided on colors, and there was a lot of, had to be pink. And then, so we were like, okay, well, we can do pink. That's totally doable. But then they thought, well, what about a cancer ribbon? Every cancer has a ribbon. What is a reptile ribbon? And I was like, guys, I don't think there is a reptile ribbon.
Right.
So we looked, and the general cancer ribbon for all cancers is lavender. So we incorporated some lavender.
And yeah, fabulous. So let's start seeing, yes, as you're telling me about
yes.
this, so we can see, yes.
So we started with the compression sleeve.
Okay.
And it's just a typical compression sleeve, and we stitched on a Velcro strap.
Okay.
And so this will allow it to kind of go on her tail.
And let me just make sure that we get a point here. There are no designs out there that Jennifer just downloaded.
Yeah, this is-
She created this with her students. This is
not a
her,
pop and drop.
This is her creation
student-driven.
with her students. This is fascinating Because this technology did not exist when we were growing up, like
no,
the 3D printed.
not with mine either. This was all new. This was a learning experience.
Well, you know,
from
Jennifer,
the
one of the
get-go.
things that really impresses me is that this is teaching children to solve a real-world problem.
Absolutely.
Early on, and you know, one of the things I love, and your school is very interested in STEAM and STEM, is not just it's reading, writing, arithmetic, because you know, when you're a kid and it's so abstract, what is math? But when you have it applied to changing an animal's life.
This is that social emotional learning
There was
connection.
a lot of social emotional, and there was a lot of math, a lot of tears, because I'm a STEM teacher. I'm not a math teacher, and the math that went into this.
That's okay. That's okay. We're working it out.
We figured it out. So we
Math
did
ends
work
at the ends of these fingers right here. I know.
But wait till you see that. This is fascinating, and it's beautiful too.
This is
Look,
amazing.
Okay, ready?
So this is her tail.
Jennifer.
Now keep in mind that elementary school children designed and executed this.
This is elementary school children. This is not
Elementary
MIT. I mean, this is phenomenal.
These are my kindergarten through 5th graders had every ounce of design go into it, from thinking of having it hollow so that it's not heavy for her to pull around, have it articulate so that it moves with her body.
That's amazing.
It was all kind of thought, right down to the colors.
And even you've got some charms on here.
We do have some charms. So I kind of went off of their designs. So we have a scaly heart to go with some love. There was a lot of love written on it. So we have our sign language, I love you. We have our Cancer ribbon charm on there. And then our little charm on this side that says handmade with love. Just as a little.
This is awesome. That is awesome.
a little thank you.
It's awesome that they put so much heart and love into an animal. You know, when we came to this is precious.
And so we try to incorporate all the colors. We have the lavender in here and the pinks in here. And then, you know, our boys had to have the blues and
Well,
stuff.
you got to.
Of course, yes.
And then the color of the paracord is actually called jade. So
Oh, how fabulous
The
is
amount of
that?
thought that went into this is amazing.
yes, we had to make sure she is totally represented.
Yes. Okay. So we've got her
let's have
compression
our
sleeve. This
inaugural
protects
fitting.
her.
That
It also
protects her tail,
Okay.
and it will keep any rubbing or chafing from happening and affecting. It also protects the nub that's still healing.
Yes. Yes.
Because we don't want to, you know, hurt that.
Sure.
So we'll just slide this on in.
Amazingly, I worked in prosthetics for a number of years in my former career. And the amazing thing is the thought that went into all of this, the compression sleeve, articulation. I mean, it's amazing. Look at that.
This is
That's amazing right there, guys. That's an absolute amazing.
I was going to say, let's see. Can you lift her
I
gently
can
to the
lift her
floor?
gently
and
to
we're
the
just going to
floor.
see for her walking around with it. What's going to be so exciting? I'm thrilled to do this. Every school we go to, we can put this on and encourage and inspire other kids, because we go to so many elementary schools, and say, look what elementary school students design. Look at Jade go.
It may take a minute to figure out how to
Look,
make
I
this
can see
work.
where the articulation is going to really pay off. So she just, and it's so lightweight.
Yes, that was a big thing we talked about with the students. You know, we didn't want to hinder her,
Right.
and make it more work for her than.
Right. So if it was super heavy, it would be actually make it worse.
And so, you know, we did several designs where we talked about having so many inches hollowed so that her tail would be in there, but the rest of it solid. But then when we did a practice print, that was too heavy.
Yeah.
And so this
She's
is
checking it out.
Oh.
She's checking it out. Hey, look at this.
Hello
Wow.
there. What
Look
do I
at
have?
my rear
I have
end.
a tail again. It's a miracle.
Well, I guess I'll wear it.
Oh, look at her on the screen walking. Oh, and it's so beautiful, Jennifer. Oh, this is amazing.
That is
And
absolutely
what I do
amazing.
love about you being the STEM teacher is that you are so tuned in to your students with that social emotional learning piece, because everywhere we go, this is a big deal in schools now.
It is, yes. After the last couple years, you know, we've got, you know, 2 years ago we were shut down because of COVID.
Right.
And then this year we had hybrid, you know, we were.
She's doing some of her own stunts now.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
That's the alligator roll. Okay, yep.
So with we had we had virtual, we had hybrid learning, we had all these things going on, and after being, you know, quarantined, our students, you know, you kind of lose that face to face,
that connection,
connection. And so coming back, and then the masks, and so you know, you kind of lose a lot of that personality, a lot of that connectivity, and but one thing that the kids could all relate to is an animal.
Yes.
And you guys, the animals are phenomenal, and our students love you guys and love your animals.
We love y'all.
And so this project was just something that was really able to
Yeah.
Well, I just
really
want you to know you're the epitome of what I wish was in every single classroom.
Yeah.
The amount of passion that it takes to undertake a project like this, and we followed you along through this with some of the heartaches that went through it and the days that it printed
bumps.
and then somebody bumped. Yeah, the literal bumps.
The literal bumps.
But you know, it takes a lot of courage to go into a classroom every single day and encourage young people, and then have to go home to your regular life and do, you know, amazing tasks. So, you know, we salute you and thank you so much for all that you do.
Your passion comes through. Yeah, you're making a lasting difference, and we
Sand Hill is very lucky to have you.
Yeah, thank you as a teacher, and thank you for improving the life of Jennifer.
But you know, one of the things that's amazing too is we just want to encourage you guys out there that sometimes you're going to face difficult challenges like Jennifer did here. Things aren't necessarily going to go right the first single time. And so we like to call them zombies, because what happens is there are things that didn't quite work in the past, but maybe they need to stay in the past. But you know what? I'll tell you this better in a video. What a cool location. Guys, today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to survive a zombie attack. Hey, Rick Curren of TV Scaly Adventures. Okay, so first off, no, I don't really believe in zombies, but they do make cool movies. But guys, what I want to talk to you about today is zombies and how you can survive them, the zombies in your life. What's a zombie? Well, to me, a zombie is anything that's dead and in your past, but wants to come back and attack you in your future. And that can be two things. That can either be something you're saying to yourself, or it can be something someone's saying to you. So when you're saying something to yourself, don't dwell on your past failures, because failures are nothing more than an attempt at success. And you've really only failed if you didn't learn something from it. And what other people say to you, doesn't matter. You know why? Because you had the courage to try when somebody else didn't. So guys, I want to remind you how to solve a zombie attack is simple. Leave the dead in the past. Stay tuned to Scaly Adventures for more encouraging messages like this, and we'll see you at scalyadventures.com. That's right, guys. We sincerely hope we do see you at scalyadventures.com. Again, we just want to thank our special guests, both in the audience tonight and those that are joining us up here on stage. It's been amazing. And I do want to give a special shout out to someone this evening as well, and that is my heart, my son, Pierce. He will be joining the United States Army at the end of next week, and he will be becoming a wheel vehicle mechanic. So the little boy that you watched growing up, his heart was to serve his country, following his dad, and that's a great thing. So to all the men and women out there serving all over the world, I give you my son. Take good care of him. And we also just want to remind our viewers this evening that, remember, no matter what the challenges that you may face, there's life to be lived. It's not about the problems that we face. It's about the problems that we solve.
Yes.
And we got to always remember to be resilient, because there's two kinds of animals out there, those that die and those that thrive. God did not make you to die. He did not give you a spirit of fear. He didn't give you a spirit of quit. He gave you a spirit of fight.
Yes.
And if you find that yourself is a little bit weak and not able to carry on, guess what? He gave you a bunch of other people around here as well. I mean, if kindergartners can make a tail for a tegu, just think what people are waiting to do to solve your problems in life as well. So we just want to thank you so much, parents, teachers, everybody who sows into the life of these little ones, because oftentimes it's a long, tiresome, thankless job, but nonetheless,
but it's so worth it.
So necessary.
Yeah.
And we just thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for tuning in this evening. Again, we want to remind you that WATC is TV channel 57 here in Atlanta, 25 years of family-friendly programming. We're so proud to be a part of their story, and we know that we're so glad to be here with you. Check us out at scalyadventures.com.
Yep. Thanks for being with us tonight. God bless you. Remember, you can overcome anything in life that you face. Jump into your children's passion with them and have fun.
No fear, guys. No fear.
See you next
Resilient.
time.